Okay, so we're going to go for a quick tour around the Isamu rat room, which has undergone quite a lot of changes at the moment. There's a few more tweaks to do, but I'll do that properly later. So start off at the door. You wouldn't think much had changed here from when last time, but if you notice this kind of film on the window, that is basically helps keep the heat out a bit. It's still see-through, but it's just very good in the summer. And we still have the fly mesh on the door. All right. So you can already see a bit of a sneak that the decoration might be a little bit different. Suffice to say, and I'll give you a quick overview, I got a little bit carried away with the paintbrush. So we now have Isamu kind of the great outdoors style, which I think fits quite well with what I like anyway. So yes, we have a paint job all the way around, which is hills and a sky I suppose. The next thing to notice is if we're looking behind the rat cage, you notice there's what's a very big picture. I can't say I painted that one. That is shower curtains. That's basically to protect the walls, so when the rats kick crap out, which let's face it, they do, it's protected, really, protecting the walls under there. I will say they are actually painted with the hills behind there, but you can't really see it. It was mostly just to enjoy myself. Right, so next step, we've got a couple of chairs in here. These were a great find. I think I got them on Facebook Marketplace for a tenner or something, but nice and robust. Somewhere for me to sit, basically, when I'm doing things. So next change, which I doubt you'll have seen before, though it's been around for a little bit. This is now the new boys' cage. So the boys used to live up there. They now live in their own mansion. So you can see probably Toast there, he's ready for his breakfast. They sit on top of this cupboard, which used to be at the other side of the room, but is still my feeding cupboard, and other assorted junk. So this cage is a Little Zoo Trekker, which is actually a really good cage, I think. One thing to note is normally you would have a base across here, so this would normally just be the stand. I've adapted it with perspex in there so that I can get a decent amount of soil in so the boys can dig. They don't, but they can. They do have like a little tunnel to this little thing here, but that's about as advanced as they got. And they have put like nesting material and some carrot peelings, which, did you not like your carrot peelings? No? Yes, but it's a very good cage. We shall open it up and say hello. I actually think this is Tangle, not Toast, because he's a bit of a coward, aren't you, mister? Right, so this is their cage. They have a 16-inch tic-tac, lots of branches. The cage comes with loads of these plastic shells. I chucked most of them, and those that didn't, I put these perspex kind of trays around, and that just lets me make them into litter trays. So I've got 3 up there. This top one has a little hole in it, which is nice because they can get into the hammock. Everybody else is apparently up there and has not realised. Oh, Snorks decided to come and see us. Yeah, so they're all up sleeping there. So it's a nice big cage for them. Much better than their previous abode, and they do very much enjoy it. As with the girls, they're on bioactive. Something that I have on all my cages now is this little thing. This just lists who's in the cage, how many, and how much food they're on a day. That's mostly in case anything happens. So I go into hospital or something happens and somebody has to feed the rats or look after them. So I have them in all my cages where I can. Right, so a little bit in between the cages, storage for random crap, including my step ladder, which is quite important if I do anything in the top of the cages, or if I'm trying to go on top of the wardrobe for storage. So next, the girls' cage. This is the Little Zoo Ventura. I seem to have a theme here, but they do decent value cages. The girls live in the bottom 2 sections, and the top section is my spare cage. If you notice, there's no kind of like sign up on that because there's no rats in it currently, but I use that for kittens, for visitors, if I need to split anybody off for any reason, or actually like when I'm cleaning out a cage I can just whack them in there. So it's fully set up, it's got soil in. I have to water that fairly regularly because the rats don't do a lot in it, but it works. Girls' cage, this will probably show it better. You can see it's got quite a depth of soil in there. Unlike the boys, the girls do dig. You can see cave there, cave down there. If we have a bit of a look in, there is lots and lots of little holes in there. Those change on a daily basis, don't they, girls? Yes, I'm going to shut this because you will escape. Unlike the boys, they can get out quite easily. So there's currently 9 girls living in there. I should say the boys, there's 7 boys. One of them's a spade doe, but there is 7 of them in there. And yes, we have a very rotund looking Winnie there. She is due very soon. She's on day 19 of her pregnancy. But yes, again, we have a little sign that's telling us who's in the cage, how much they're fed, date of births, that kind of thing. I also noticed any illnesses. So you can see Faye has the one eye comment because Faye, she has one eye. If you watch my glaucoma video, that's Faye from there. She's still doing well. Yes, so that's the top cage. Round to the door, that goes into my husband's part of the garage. Main thing to note, down along the bottom there, that is a draft excluder because the gap was big enough that a very small rat could have fit underneath, and it's better to not have drafts. The rat's little heater, so that helps keep the rat room, which is otherwise unheated, at a decent temperature. It's on 16 at the moment because I've got pregnant does, Winnie and another doe who was hiding when we visited them. I'll drop that cooler as it gets later on. I tend to go down to about 12 to 14 normally. Very important, dustpan and brush. I will say, metal is a must. I used to have plastic ones and the rats kept chewing like the little ceiling strip off. It's very annoying. So this is my rat wardrobe. So it has moved. In the past it was where I'm currently standing now, which is where the chairs sit. It's got lots of stuff stored on top, including my Coco, which is another cage I use for babies. A spare kind of like large mini cage, which I use for intros, and one of my carriers. Wardrobe stores, and sorry this isn't that tidy. It's got like water bottles and food stuff, random things, kind of all sorts of bits and pieces in that one, some health stuff. This is kind of like free roam stuff, and this is for babies, kitten packs, bags, useful things, crafting stuff as well actually. Then down here we've got bags of food that I use in my food mix, show tanks for when I'm going to shows, which is actually this weekend, nice to get back to them, and some random crap I haven't sorted yet, but that'll happen, and of course my hammock and kind of collection, so that's quite useful. Right, next side. So this side we have kind of bedding, substrate. I'm about to get a new bale of shavings, otherwise that would be nice and full. I only use them for the litter trays in the main. But then along here we've got hay and straw, and then there's a bit of nesting material there. Then this part is all different ingredients for food mixes, as well as the kind of big bags of food down there, so the bits and bobs that also go in my mix. And then the top is basically random stuff, including kind of camera equipment and such, which I promise you I will get out. So next bit. So this is where I keep my birthing cages. So the white things that go around are IKEA stoovers, which are kind of like a bench. You normally get like a little drawer to put stuff in. They fit perfectly around the Alaska cages, which I've got 2 set up there and 2 more that are flat packed up there. So what I can do is with the stoovers, I can have up to 4 Alaskas set up. I take that stoover off and put it down there, and I can stack 2 more up in that space. But I've only got 2 litters due at the moment, so these are just set up. Monkey's going to go in that tomorrow, and Winnie's going to go in that the day after, and then hopefully we'll get babies in the next couple of days. They're all actually basically set up for birthing, so that might be interesting. Notice this is necessary for my rats, they can't open cages. So we've got a little platform area there that gives them a bit of shelter. They can build that nest up so that it's got walls all the way around if they want, or they can leave it open. They generally start out with it open, have the babies, build a massive nest, and then within probably about 2 weeks it's kind of like flattened out again. We've got a collection of nesting material there from choose from. There's a hammock in at the moment, but that will go out. I put them in for day 21 with a friend, and then like morning of day 22 the friend and the hammock comes out. There's a rope and a couple of perches just because it gives them a place to get away from the babies, and water bottles. So, oh yes, and my trusty little whiteboards. So nobody's in there at the moment, but it's going to be Monkey's cage, and that's when she's due. So that's quite useful. I can use that for other storage as well and do sometimes. Briefly mention here we've got the kind of webcam setup, so that will look on that cage, and this one that's stuck on with a bit of elegant duct tape will look in on that cage, so I can keep an eye on the girls when they're due. And then, to be fair, I take them off because I don't really need to spy on them all the time. The original purpose of the rat room, utility rooms, we've got a freezer, tumble dryer and a washing machine there. Mini cages, I like to have them out all the time because I can stick in a rat if anything goes wrong, and add food. So that's currently set up as a feeding cage for any of my skinnier rats. To be fair, when I don't have the Alaskas out, I normally stick one of them on there, but that works. Bit more storage, so normal sink. Having running water in your rat room is very appreciated in a kind of garage. That's a box full of supplements, as is that, and there is some treats in that box, but I always forget they exist until I do kitten packs. And then we've got some nice fun stuff up there that is kind of pride, including rat skeleton and a really lovely drawing somebody did for me for Isamu rats. And a tiny little mog sculpture that is missing an ear. I don't know what happened to the ear, but I like it, so I've kept it. Getting close to finish now, little window. I haven't got the reflective stuff on that because in summer the Virginia creeper outside grows up and covers it. It's got a little kind of bar thing there. That's because in summer I leave it open. Basically, at the moment it isn't, but it normally is. Sharpie markers and stuff for marking kitten tails and whiteboard markers. Then we have a bug zapper, which is there because when you use soil it's quite prone to like little fungus outbreaks. That keeps them under control, though really this time of year I don't need it. Whiteboard with my weights in. As you can see, I'm somewhat behind on taking weights, but I've been doing the rat room, so that's my excuse. Behind this is my medicine cabinet, which has all sorts of stuff I've accumulated over the years. And basically it's useful. It also contains the fuse box, so that's a pain when the fuse blows because I have to pull everything out. This set of drawers include various different things, so bag of ropes, random kind of cage stuff. The girls are squeaking, so please ignore them, they're not killing each other, honest. And in here we have more cage stuff, ropes, that kind of thing, and perches. Weigh food out there, that's for weighing the rats. This is a light that's on a 12-hour timer, which just basically means there's some daylight in this rat room. Because I've got pregnant rats, I like to try and fool them that it's not winter. So I do that so that they think it's still a good time to have babies. It probably doesn't make that much of a difference. Then cat tree, which is just there. I converted a cat tree to be a rat tree, really. There's a bit of an area where they can kind of forage for all sorts of bits and pieces. Some feather ones, I can get out to play with them. Tubes and branches and stuff to climb on. I do have plans to do a little bit more with the rat room, but at the moment this is where we're at. And I should say, at some point I'm going to make a barrier that I can put across there so that when the girls or boys are out, they can't get to each other because they do like to eat each other's feet. So that's the rat room as it is at the moment. It's definitely a bit of a change. It feels a lot nicer, I will say, from my perspective, than the kind of very boring magnolia. The rats haven't really noticed, but they're quite glad to get back in because they were stuck in a cage with no soil for a while. So I hope that's interesting for you, and I'll give you an update when I do finally finish things.